In today's program, we have a richness of things to share with you. And it's going to be about the words that we use to describe our organization's goals: educate, inspire, and empower. And we want to talk about what those words can mean in one's life. What does it mean in your life? What does it mean in my life? And so we're going to take each of those topics and explore some possibilities of increasing understanding and also some simple things, action things to do, because we don't want to just talk, we want to act. The first part of our program is going to be a video in which we will hear Emma Watson. You may know Emma Watson as the little girl in the Harry Potter series of movies. Emma Watson is now a very accomplished young woman. She is an ambassador for the some of the functions about women at the United Nations, and she is going to speak to us about feminism. Now, feminism sometimes has a bad rap, and she's going to tell us why that is not correct. So, Andrea, if we can please see Emma Watson. She was speaking to a group of representatives at the United Nations, and as you saw, they received her very well. So I want to talk a little bit about this business of feminism. As you heard, it's not a naughty word. It's a word that we all should be embracing because it simply means what our organization stands for: equality of opportunity and access for women and girls, the same as with men and boys. And so, you know, how can you argue with that? And so we have to get used to that term. It's a very good term. And one of the things that I want to share with you just very, very briefly is something called the Feminist Activist Tool Kit. And it's a downloadable booklet, and we will give you the information. It looks like this. It's from an organization called liveyourdream.org. And they have this toolkit. It's quite an extensive document. It's some, I don't know, 50 some pages. And it has 4 sections. One section is called Learn, and it tells a lot about the history of feminism, names some what they call sheroes, women who are outstanding in the field. And there is an excellent glossary of terms that we all should be very clear about the meaning of. One of the terms is feminism. And this is useful for those of us who are out there doing things or want to be, so that we will be very certain that when we talk about women's issues, we are using the correct terminology and we are knowing exactly what we're talking about. Another section of this document is join. That is, get together with people, like-minded people, and find some place where you can join with other women or men to do something useful in the area of promoting equality. The third section is called advocate. In other words, speak up, speak out, and let your voice be heard on issues that are of interest and importance to women. And finally, commit. And that is, set your mind to do something and then do it. There is actually a section called What is Feminism and What It Is Not. There's a brief history, as I mentioned. This glossary, which is excellent. And there's a section called How to Incorporate Feminism in Your Daily Life. Simple things that you can do. And so I recommend it highly. And as I said, the organization that put it out is called liveyourdream.org. Whoops, there we go. and it's called a Feminist Activist Tool Kit, and you just download it and print it out, which is what I did. So we have little bits of information and some big bits of information in those areas that are contained in the toolkit and have to do with our topical statements in educate, inspire, and empower. And so the first one of those is educate. And Soheila is going to give us some excellent information and ideas on the topic of education.
My screen,
Yes.
I'm going to just do the version that allows full screen. Okay. All right. I'll be talking about some of the basic concepts, not by any means in depth, about the importance of education for women. Interestingly enough, there are just very few recent studies that have been done globally. Usually when I make a PowerPoint, I have a ton of material, but on this subject, the things are old. The statistics and data are not very current. So we'll just examine some of these concepts together. So the challenge is really the numbers. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, estimates the number of girls that are still out of school to be in the millions, 129 million girls, and 32 million at the primary school age and 97 million at the secondary school age. From Cairo to Beijing, these are basically the concept that I want to develop, is that universal education to young girls shows progress as a whole for a society. And the agency that has been appointed to do this, is better known as USAID, a lady from there, Carla Coppell, calls female education a silver bullet in the area of empowerment and progress. And as we can see in many countries, the level of poverty and the level of education for women is so directly interconnected that many countries have started creating partnership between governments and education and private section to create opportunities for education. And the pictures that you see, there's some classrooms in some parts of the world where hundreds of students are assigned to one teacher. And those teachers are often volunteers going from different countries to provide education to girls. And that's critical. That's what it's starting to happen in the world, and more of it is happening. But you would see many women who haven't had the chance for education. All of their stories are written, and I didn't want to bring in everything to really burden you with all those little stories, but every one of them shares the fact that had they been to school, or had they had the opportunity to be in school, their lives would have been very different. And we will see that a few books and a classroom creates such a difference in one's world, in one's community, one's society, and in the world as a whole. The top 10 reasons why it's important, I wanted to just quickly go through that. The increased literacy. So we know that there's 163 million illiterate children across the globe, but 63% of them are female. So we can see that when we invest in educating women and empowering them, we have now lifted the whole body of children and population that has been literate. And then it will pop up the literacy rates across the board. One of the top 10 areas is that it will help with the reduction of human trafficking. And we know that it is a huge industry, close to $32 billion in profits. And these statistics are from a few years ago. The numbers would be much larger now, because it's a very profitable business, and it's becoming more and more popular and available. So the education of girls and the families will help with that. And again, in turn, it will help with the level of poverty of a family, that they would not have to sell their girls for money, but to educate them so that the family could benefit from that. The areas that education could really help with women is to give them voice in the arena of politics and policymaking, and political representation across the globe is underrepresented. And we know that equal pay, the rights to their bodies, the rights to vote, all of those are part of a larger umbrella of human rights that women have been underrepresented and deprived of in the scene of decision making and presenting their voice. So another area is that there would be important to create a population, a world where babies are thriving. We don't have babies dying as a result of their mothers being uneducated and not having access or information or being educated enough to have access to education on health and raising healthy babies. So the numbers are here that 16,000 children die per year in an area like Burundi. And again, some of these underlined areas have stories to talk about. And you're encouraged to really explore those on your own. Another area, the three that I have on this one, is that the later marriage. We know that the early age marriage is one of the reasons where, again, women are deprived of pursuing higher education. And then in turn, it translates into not having healthy babies, not having, wealth within the community, and then allowing them to be subjected to all kinds of abuse and being marginalized again. And that's one of the areas that, there are statistics available as to what percentage of girls, 1 out of 3, is married before reaching the age of 18. And not that age of 18 is a magical number, but if that combined with education is given as an opportunity to girls and women, then it helps with all these other areas that we're mentioning within the 10 top areas. Safe sex, for example, not having children die from AIDS because of the fact that the girl was uneducated and did not know how to protect herself and her baby against diseases such as HIV and being, subjected to AIDS and early death of the children. And the other one is to just have smaller families. And we know that the statistics show that on an average, women that have secondary education will have an average of about 3 children. When they're deprived of that, they would be looking more into having 7 children. And that's, again, statistics, whatever that means that once they are learning how to manage the wealth of the family and how to manage the education of their children, then we will be having healthier and more prosperous communities. Other 3 areas within that top 10 areas where education makes a huge impact is that they become a potential for earning more income, again, as part of the overall integrated approach to raising the level of prosperity of humanity and the whole population of the world. The fact that half of the world's population could be earning higher than they do, it's as a result, the direct results of education. And according, again, to statistics of UNESCO, a single year of primary education will increase a girl's wages later in life by 20%. Another very quick look at thriving GDP, gross domestic products. It directly is connected to the education, of course, boys and girls, but when they're offered higher education opportunities, and when 10% more women attend school, the GDP increases by 3% on an average. So again, some of those numbers are showing up down here. The poverty reduction, again, it's all so interconnected that there's not one single approach to it, but those top 10 areas in many ways, present a more prosperous, a healthier community. And that is, again, when women are provided with equal rights and equal access to education, then they will go on to participate in business world, in participate in economic activities, and then have an increased earning capacity, and they will combat the poverty and help with the future prosperity of their families, communities, as well as the societies that they live in. So let's see what else. So these were the 10 areas where, according to President Obama presenting it in 2012 at the General Assembly of the United Nations, that this sustainability and progress in the regions that women have proven to be successful will impact the whole world. It will have a global impact. And his sentence was very powerful, and I wanted to emphasize that the future must not belong to those who bully women. It must be shaped by girls who go to school and those who stand for a world where our daughters can live their dreams just like our sons. And that is so much connected to the documents that Barbara was presenting. liveyourdreams.org provides a lot of tools, daily, real practical tools that we could have at our disposal when we share things with our girls and children that are coming up as a healthy generation. So I will stop sharing at this point. However, I would like to open the floor for questions, comments, discussions about any of those top 10 areas that we talked about. Well,
I think it's
go ahead.
I think it's amazing that in this day and time, we're still having little girls who can't go to school because they're girls. And we're still having young teenagers who can't go to school because they're having their period and they don't have the supplies that they need. And it's considered inappropriate for them to go to school at those times. And all of the things that you mentioned, it is incredible that in this day and time, we are still having these things that are happening to a half of the population in some countries. And it's all the more reason why we should inform ourselves. I mean, we're all very comfortable. We sit here in California or wherever we are, and we have what we need, and we all went to school and we went to university and we did all these things. And it was a matter of course. It was there was never a consideration in my family when I was growing up that I wouldn't be educated and I wouldn't go to university. And so it's a form of privilege. And we all know that sometimes privilege creates blind spots. And so I think we have to be sure that we take some piece of this big thing that is the inequality against women and girls, take our piece of it and work it until we can do our small part to change things.
Thank you. Thank you. I think if we look at it under the larger concept of human rights and the fact that humanity has been recently woken up to the concept of creating areas where entitlement to education altogether becomes a part of the human rights challenge. And then the women, again, having been marginalized and not by design, I would even say, been deprived of the education opportunities, is something that is just now coming to surface. And I think more and more of us will have to be informed and inspired. As we all know, there haven't been enough models for girls to be following. There hasn't been enough wealth dedicated and budgets allocated to education of women. Again, by design, the facts that human trafficking and child brides and all of that has been a profitable business across the world. Those have been the reasons where we are now becoming more and more aware of. And I'm hopeful, I'm very optimistic that we will be making exponential, leaps of progress towards eliminating some of those areas of problem and those challenges. Even in the third world countries and countries where women's education has been very much the last item on the agenda, we see that progress. Women are resilient. The progress comes from within, and you cannot keep them oppressed. And if the governments make a little bit of a push with the private sector, that those opportunities will change the world of humanity to a better place. After everyone makes their comments, I have a 2-minute video that's very inspirational as to how women in a third world country who've been oppressed for the last 40 years under a very oppressive regime have made progress. And I'd like to share that with everyone as part of the inspiration part of today's discussions.
Shala has her hand up.
Yes, I want to wait.
And Baba has his hand up as well.
Okay. I come from Iran. I was born in Tehran. I'm one of those lucky ones whose parents were Baha'is, so education came easier to me than many of my period Persian women. And of course, things have gone backward 1,000 years, the last 40 some odd years. But I have a feeling, and of course, I was in North America in the 60s where we had sexism and racism, and we burned our bras and we marched and we did all those crazy things. I think some of you are from my generation. And then in the 70s, there were backlash, and in the 80s, there were backlash, in the 90s. And I think we have gone about this a little bit, not the way we should have. We were angry. In the 60s, we were angry. And so that anger pushed us to think that if we could make men feel less, we could feel much more. And then every time there was a backlash, we did exactly that. We said, I'll take it from men. I'll show them. And I think we have gone about it the wrong way. I think we have not done consultation. We have not done give and take. No one can have everything to start with. And, we have had from 11th to 13th century, we had the Holocaust of women, and men learned how to control women and colonize the world. And we have not been able to overcome that. It was so well done and so systematic. So I think those of us who live in the West and think we have it all, we don't. Unfortunately, it's still a battle. Of course, we have a lot more than the women in Iran and in Middle East and in many parts of the world have. Been to China, Singapore, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, South America, Africa. And of course, when you go there, you think, oh, wow, I have it good. And we do comparatively. But I think what we need to do is negotiate with men rather than try to replace them. it has to be a process of negotiation. If they feel that they're going to lose it all in order to give us equal rights and opportunity, then we have a battle. But if we negotiate to come to a middle, because Abdul Baha used to say, moderation, moderation, moderation. And I think I'm at the point that I'm old enough that I'm not angry the way I was, and I don't want to force it. And I'm thinking in terms of negotiation. How can we negotiate with the men of many cultures to come to an agreement? And I have a little story very quickly. I know we don't have much time. There was this member of my family who ran away out of Iran with her son and wanted to divorce her husband because it wasn't working. He was so angry that he went with his sister to Europe on the pretense of just wanting to take his son out for a little one-day visit, took him to the embassy, of course, Persian embassy, immediately gave him a passport for the son and took the child to Iran. She followed them to Iran. As a result, he wouldn't divorce her. She lost the right to leave the country. She lost the right to work or go to school, and she couldn't have her child. And it was a battle between the two families because the family, the mother and father and family got involved, became a huge battle. And then one man suggested, why don't we negotiate? And so someone that both families could relatively trust started negotiation and decided, how can we come to a happy medium where this child, and talk with the father, this child needs the mother, this child needs the father, instead of the mother saying, this child is, that man is terrible, he's not a good man, he won't make a good father, and I'm the only one who can take care of the kids, and reverse with the father. So they started talking in terms of the child. And then over a period of 6 months, they were able to negotiate to a place where they both could, it wasn't perfect, but it was some agreement where that child would not be misused by both parents. So I think we need to negotiate with men instead of insisting that what we need, I don't know, somehow we need to do that.
Thank you, Shala. Babak?
Thank you. You know what, first of all, I would really want to thank everybody involved, including Soheila, to put these talks together and make this happen, that we have this opportunity to talk, learn from each other, and, you know, help us helping other people outside this. So that's great. And what Shala just said about communication, and, you know, I hear the word feminist or feminism, and sometimes it backfires. And I think there are people within that, they try to take advantage of that. The fact that men and women have equal rights, 100% I agree. No doubt about that. You know, whether it's a pay, about opportunity for education, getting the positions, or anything else. It 100% should be equal. But men and women are not the same. You cannot say they're different. They have different desires, different interests. And that's the beauty of life, how we are created. You know, we call it God, Allah, Jesus, whoever we all created us. But that's the beauty of what we have, and we can complement each other. And that's how we act together. The problem is that sometimes I see it also between races or something. When they talk about equality, they want to say, I against you, women against men. There is no fight. There is no me against this. If there was a word only women in that, do you think it was beautiful? Or if men, definitely that one I can tell for sure it was not beautiful. So we need actually that combination to make it beautiful, you know, together, whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's sister and brother, which it's friends, colleagues, everything, because we can complement each other. We can add to what the other person may learn or get from the other side. And that's how I look at that. And the communication comes. And I had a conversation just yesterday with a lady who's a vice president of the Association of Psychologists in California. They trying to have some education about relationship when child about start communication in schools, make it mandatory. It's a big target to do. I totally agree with that. And I'm not part of that game, but I'm very supportive of that. So I share with you because I see many marriages, many relationships break down. Sometimes, yeah, they don't fit. One of them is a bad guy, the women or the men. Okay, they of course accuse each other. But sometimes there's a miscommunication. They don't know how to treat each other. They don't know each other well. And that's the trouble. So if I have 2 more minutes, I just want to say, when I look at the person, say, is it a man or a woman? If we look at the face, we can tell. You have facial hair, most likely it's a man. Even the other features of the body or the face, you can tell. So why you can tell that? Why a man has a facial hair and women doesn't? It's a hormones. The testosterone in men cause this, the estrogen in women cause other qualities. And again, there is nothing bad or good. It's just that they are. Nobody's better than the other person. That when it's come to relationship, my idea that actually I'm kind of working on that. One day I will put this together. The goal of any relationship between a man and a woman is to bring that side out. The woman's job is to make a boy a man. A man's job is to make that girl a woman. And to get girl to become a woman is not about age or anything. It's about the femininity inside, comes up. The beauty inside the woman should come up. She should feel alive. She should feel, I'm a person, I'm a woman. And that's a lot into that. That the beauty, what kindness, love comes from a woman comes out. And it's glow. You can see it on her face, how beautiful it is. Same side on the man should be a man. We don't want a little boy there. And the man is the one to support the family. He's not the one to yell or beat or something. No, he's the one who defend his family and other women. And he said, no, if there's a war, I'm in front. I die. I protect them. That's my job. That was in the history was like that. So we're not fighting as much, at least physically we're not fighting, but there are other ways of fighting that the man should be there. If a man wants to do that, it needs a woman behind them to bring that manhood, to bring that man out. So he feels alive. He has a purpose. That purpose is sometimes missing. We don't, in many relationships, they don't know what this man needs. They need lots of, compliments. Women need a compliment in a different language. I don't want somebody to tell me, oh, your eyes are so beautiful. Your nose is gorgeous. Your skin is that. I don't want to hear that much. A little okay. I want to feel I'm a man. How I'm a man when I create something. When I create something, my testosterone goes up. When I create something, when I appreciate it for what I'm doing, what I'm providing. A woman needs another type of compliment. Estrogen goes up. And this is what I tell you is the research is, easily we can measure those hormones now. That should goes up so the woman feels like a woman. And when that happens, when they do not compare each other against each other, the women does not come that, oh, I'm strong. I'm as strong as you. I can do the job you do. I can lift that heavy things as much as you do because I'm not less than you. That's not the way to say that. Yes, men physically are stronger. That's biology. Physically, not other ways, they're not stronger. There are many things that women are way, way stronger. They can do way better on different aspects. So for the sake of time, let me stop here and just say that is a matter of not being against each other, being next to each other and helping each other bring out the strengths of both sides. Then there is no competition. There is a collaboration. There's no competition, there's a collaboration, there's a cooperation among them. I'll stop here, and again, thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. We have two more hands up.
Yeah,
I think Evadi was first, and then, but please keep your comments to a minute and a half or so we can
Yeah.
have.
we have a lot to do today. Anybody?
Okay. Yes, thank you. My question actually is, my comment is very brief, and I was just wanted to address this to Shaka John, and that talking about negotiation. My knowledge is not, my education is not in the law or anything, but I know when you negotiate is when one party is at fault or is not exactly equal to the other person. And then in between, we negotiate to have both sides happy. But men and women are created equal in the eyes of in the eyes of God anyway. So there is not much to negotiate, actually, because none of them, men or women, are at fault by being created by God. So I just want to say that it must be another way of coming to solve this problem of equality, rather than negotiating for something that is already given to us. This is what I like to say, and thank you.
Thank you. Barbara, with your permission, I just want to say that we need to bring this down to role of education in empowering women. So instead of having different views, coming at each other, we're going to put all those views on the table and conclude that once you have the education, you can be a good negotiator. You could be, of equal powers, even in the negotiation rooms. I'm a mediator, I know that. You have to have power. And if there is no education and there is this power, there is no, there is never a balance if there's not enough power, with women. So that bring everything down to the education so that it would relate to today's subject. Otherwise, we would have hundreds of points to make. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Soheila. And we do need to move on, although we appreciate all the comments that have come to now. But we want to move on to the third word, which is the second word, which is empower. And Diane is going to take that section. And by the way, let me just say that I put it in the chat. If you Google Feminist Activist Tool Kit, it will come up and you can download it easily. Okay.
Nana had her hand up. I just want to make sure that she doesn't think that she's been ignored, and maybe she can make her comment now, or if she can make the comment after we get another discussion opened.
I can do it later. Yeah, we can go on. Let's go on and make sure everything fits.
Okay, thanks, Nanette.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some ways that we can empower. One thing that we have put together, and we haven't reviewed it in a while, is a list of what I can do. And I don't know if Andrea is going to show it or she's just going to put it in the chat as where you can find it. But from our past conversations at the Women's Empowerment Workshops, we have come up with these ideas that you can befriend a younger woman or a girl and mentor them. There it is. You can volunteer or join a local decision-making effort to gain experience and make your voice heard. You can help a younger woman or girl learn to handle money and build good credit and grow financial power. You can become informed and build and spread awareness among other women. And you can reach out to someone of another ethnic group to build a bridge of understanding as women. So those are some things that we can do to empower other women. And also, I think we can bring men into this conversation. I'm so happy to have Babak here. Thank you so much. We need more men in the conversations here. Thank you for being with us. So something else that is another tool that we've talked about at our Toward Oneness meetings is it's called Speaking Up Tools. And it's when you're in a conversation with someone and a comment is made that you want to revisit, or you want to talk a little bit more about and just not let it go by. So it's not only necessarily for racist or you did put racist or sexist comments, or it can be anything else. It was brought up in our last Toward Oneness that one of the participants uses it in just everyday conversation when he wants to clarify something a little bit more. So what you first do is you interrupt. And you stop the person and that you're talking to or texting with, or however you're communicating with them, and say that this, what you said, we need to explore a little bit. And then you can question, and why, what makes you think that way? Where did you get that information? Why do you think that was funny? Ask them, engage them in this conversation. And then you can educate, and that doesn't mean that you just provide facts about the topic and explain why the person shouldn't feel that way. You help them understand why they might think about rethinking what they said. And then if you're in a group where someone else is doing this, it takes courage to speak up and to stop someone from making comments. So we need to have each other's backs. So if someone is doing this, you need to speak up and say, yes, this is important that we look at this, because if you just stand there and say nothing, then everybody could think that because of your silence, you are thinking of the same way that the other person who made the negative point of you. So those are things that we can use to empower. And then something else that came from this feminist tool book that is really exciting. They have every year they have a Live Your Dream Awards, and they are asking for people, for women, and I think men could probably do this too, I'm sure. To volunteer to be a judge. So these Live Your Dream Awards, there are scholarships that help women improve their education, their skills, and their employment prospects. And they are also created to help women overcome adversity, to reach their full potential. And over half of the award recipients are survivors of domestic violence, trafficking, or sexual abuse. And many have faced the challenges of poverty, teen pregnancy, substance abuse, and hopelessness. And every year they provide $2.6 million in education grants to over 1,700 women. So there's a website that you can go to, and hopefully Andrea can put it up there. And you volunteer to be a judge, and you review and score the eligible applications according to financial need, past hardship, demonstrated motivation, and clarity of goals. And the top top applicants receive $1,000 award, and they're eligible for up to $15,000 of additional funding. And they do this, the judging is done every January. So this is the information on that. It's something that can be done to empower.
And just really quick, all the information, all the links are on the chat. If you go all the way to the top, there's a PDF that's downloadable that has every single piece of material that we've shared today.
Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, so we were going to take some time out for comments here, but do we want to do that or just?
Diane, were you going to talk about the legislation?
Oh yeah, thank you. This was some. Thanks, Barbara. See, it takes two brains, sometimes more than that. We talked about this the last time of women of color, especially, well, not just, but we were talking about Native American women, the missing and murdered Native American women and people of color. And I've found out that there are a couple of bills that were introduced in the assembly and also by the Representative Aguilar. So I did a little research on these bills, and the one in the state assembly was introduced by James Ramos, and it's Assembly Bill 1314, and it's going to be signed into law January 20th of 23. And part of the problem with the missing women and murdered women of color is they were going way underreported. They didn't know that what was happening. And part of it was because there was so much jurisdiction. There's the tribal court, there's the federal court, the local court. There's all kinds of these jurisdictions, and they weren't communicating with each other. So what this bill from the assembly is going to do, it's going to have the law enforcement agencies communicate with the CHP, and whenever a active missing person is reported, there's going to be an alert on our phone, like an Amber Alert. So it won't be going unnoticed. And then there's the one that Representative Aguilar, he co-sponsored with Representative Deborah Haaland, who's a Native American, and that's HR 2438. And I think that it has to do, I read it and it was not very clear to me, but I think it has to do with the boundaries of making it easier to reporting so that these women don't get lost in the shuffle. So that's what I have to say. And I think that I just wanted to say real quickly that I am very proud of what we do as women on the Move Network with our Who's Your Hero program with our girls, that we're empowering them and we're educating them and we're inspiring them. So we're doing our little part right here in our neck of our word, in the neck of our woods.
And I'll have a little presentation on that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Thank you, Diane. Let me just say that, you know, here's an example of some very simple, we're talking about simple things that you can do that can make a difference. And Diane just happened to speak to a gentleman at a community fair who was a representative from one of the Congress people's office. You know, they put up booths at these community fairs, and she just said, hey, I'm concerned about these missing and murdered Native American women. What's being done? And the gentleman said, oh, I can give you all this information. And so there you are. And so, you know, she could write in and she could support and she can say, you know, hey, I'm for that. Please push it forward. So these are examples of small things that can make a difference. Okay, so we're going to move on. Do we have any comments or questions about anything that Diane has said? Okay, then we'll, oh, Shala, did you want to say something? You're muted.
Yes, I wanted to say that it depends on the area you live. For example, I live in Montreal. I live on the edge of south of me is the upper middle class families who do very well. North and east of me are two communities of refugees and immigrants. And these are the communities that we are working with. And we've been working with these communities. In the past, we just went everywhere in the neighborhood, but now we are focused on the area. And it has many women who either immigrate or come as refugees, single, with a number of children, anything from 4 to 7, and anything from age 2 to 21. And so often they arrive, and they're very afraid of doing anything in case they are evicted out of the country. So they don't know their rights. So often, not only we do children's virtue project with them, and we do junior youth empowerment program and youth activities, we also work with the women, because often they don't know what they can have and what facilities are ready, available to them. And also they're afraid to go to any offices in case, because they come from cultures that you hide from everything that has to do with the government. So we, for example, in Montreal, one thing that these women can do off welfare is to learn French, because they pay you to learn French. So they get paid and they learn the language. And then once you know the language, you can get a job. So that's one thing we have been doing with them. Also helping them to get their kids that drop out. And often there is a large number of drop-out kids, especially with boys, to get them back into the education system. Also help them how to get assistance in other areas, how to deal with the housing, how to deal with the landlord who pushes them around, what rights they have as a tenant. And so as a result, we have had more of a success looking after the family rather than just having the children's classes and junior youth group. And once you empower these women, these mothers, then you're also empowering the children. And the other thing I wanted quickly to mention is that we must also educate our boys. It's not sufficient to educate our girls. We did that in Afghanistan, and the boys came out of the woodwork, and they took the girls back to God knows where. So I think we need to educate them, both kids, both children, and teach them from very young age. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Inspire. We have a film, a short film, and it was, the title is Lisa Nichols Left the Audience Speechless. And so we hope to inspire you with this. And then we're going to talk about our Who's Your Hero Girls, which Soheila will go on, and a simple project that you can all take part in. Okay.
Are you willing to disrupt any form of what you know? Are you willing? Are you willing to reinvent yourself? Are you willing? Are you willing to become someone you've never seen before? Are you willing to run, leap, and soar, even at the possibility that you might fall? Are you willing? Are you willing to do something you've never done before, say something you've never said before, do the things you don't want to do, say the things you don't want to say, so that you can be the man, the woman you've always known yourself to be? Are you willing? See, I didn't come here to give you a lot of answers. I came here to disrupt your soul with a lot of right questions. Because I wasn't supposed to be here. I was that kid that was always struggling with self-esteem. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? No one looks like me, makes it anywhere. I'm chocolate, mocha skin, full lips, round hips, and kinky hair. You just don't see me on TV. You don't see me glorified. You don't see me representing beauty. You don't see me. So the world didn't give me permission to be here. But I didn't ask for it either. So some of you are still asking for permission. And sometimes you have to stop asking for permission, and it's just time to give the world notice. So I just showed up to invite you to give the world notice that you're coming. Give the world notice that you've been here. Give the world notice that you've played polite long enough. Now it's time to play full out. Give the world notice that unapologetic just showed up. Give the world notice that non-negotiable just showed up. Give the world notice that if they can't handle your light, that you're tired, you're no longer going to dim your light. If they can't handle your light, put on some shades. Because when you become that bold, when you become that audacious, when you become that unapologetic, all of a sudden you become infectious. All of a sudden, just the mere glimmer of you, when I can catch a glimpse of you, when I can get in your hemisphere, in your atmosphere, in your zip code, something happens to me because I'm in proximity. And then you become absolutely aware of the true assignment on your life. That you were here to save us. You were here to inspire us by the way you walk with assistance, by the way you rise above your own uncertainty, by the way you push past your religious conversation, your cultural conversation, your economic conversation, your gender conversation, by the way you show up and say, how can I serve humanity? So what is your quest? It might just be to go home and be 1,000% present with your children. Your quest might be to love an unlovable sibling. Like it might be that. I'm a girl who, as a mom in 1995, I was broke and broken. And all I was committed to do was not spend the next 25 years in that brokenness. So I didn't decide my quest out of a pursuit of serving the world in a big way. I stepped into my quest becoming committed that I won't have it that way anymore. So however you step, just step. However you step, just step. Sometimes you gotta step out of something before you're stepping into something. Just step. Don't get paralysis of the analysis trying to make sure the step is right. I'd rather you take 10 steps wrong than analyze trying to make one step right one more day while someone's waiting to be inspired by you. I'm still figuring out how to get it right, but I've done some good work trying to figure out how to get it right. One day I'm gonna master this thing. One day. So I just stopped by to stir your soul. I stopped by to not let you off the hook of your brilliance, of your genius, of your humanity, of the willingness to live in a constant duality, allowing your brilliance and your confusion to coexist, and you embrace them both. Not waiting for another thing, not waiting for another person, not waiting for any permission, not waiting for someone to validate you, not waiting for your mother, your father to say you're okay, not waiting for the man, the woman in your life to say go, be free, not waiting. What are you waiting for?
Better can start today with a better online education from a better.
Awesome.
Are you speechless? She had a lot to say. She had a lot to say.
I particularly like that she just stopped by to stir your soul.
Yeah. That bears watching more than once.
Yeah, it does. And it's too bad that that tag at the end that kind of spoils her ending. But she has a lot to say, and she says it well. Yes, I agree. Thumbs up.
Speechless indeed, right? No more comment. But no, the fact that she focused on our humanity, and that's what's the asset that we're all endowed with. Mm-hmm. We don't need a thing more than our humanity, and we all come to this world with it. And I think that's what she said that just resonated with everyone's heart and soul and stirred up their soul, and ours as well.
Yeah. That's what we need to recognize as men and women, is our humanity.
Yeah. Okay, Soheila,
Yes, thank you. And that's what we're trying to teach in our Who's Your Hero program, that the hero within is just ready to step out. And let me see which one of these I want to pull out. I have 2 PowerPoints getting ready to jump into the share. Okay, so let me just go to the next one. But because it's enable media, just because I want to get our, what does it say, Andrea, block media or enable media? Because I want to play my video.
It's not gonna let you. If you enable, it might, but let's try it one more
I
time.
enabled it, but it wants to block it.
Let's see. Go ahead and block and see what happens.
Okay, so this video is very inspiring. And again, it talks about something that if I said it, it will blow the surprise. But just please listen carefully. It talks about anything that any one of us can do beyond our imagination. So let's see.
What if I told you that I was the only
Let me go.
firefighter in my hometown?
What if I told you I was the first to compete for my country in the Winter Olympics?
What if I told you I was the lead singer of an acclaimed rock and roll band and a computational geneticist who's been deemed one of the top 100 geniuses of our time?
What if I told you my photographs have been published in National Geographic, the New York Times, Newsweek, and Time magazine?
What if I told you that I won my nation's first ever motocross?
What if I told you I won a gold medal in the Paralympic Games?
What if I told you I was the first from my country to scale an 8,000-meter peak in the Himalayas?
What if I told you I became the first suffrage martyr in my country after appearing unveiled in public? They strangled me with a silk scarf, threw me into a garden well, and filled it with stones and soil.
If I told you that, would you believe that I'm a woman from Iran?
If I told you that, would you believe I was a woman from Iran?
If I told you that, would you believe that I'm a woman from Iran?
I am a woman from Iran.
I'm a woman from Iran.
I'm a woman from Iran.
I am a woman from Iran.
I'm a woman from Iran. I'm often quoted as having said, "You can kill me as soon as you like, but you cannot stop the emancipation of women."
For those of you who want to know, this was a production a few years ago from a book called Jewels of Allah, and Allah means God. So look at women as jewels of God and consider that if women of Iran, in all the oppressions that they have been facing for the last 40 years, can accomplish so much, then anyone can find that hero within. And then I wanted to just do the share screen on this other one with going through our programs. So what we do at Women on the Move Network with our flagship programs called Who's Your Hero is to try to bring out that hero. And just recently we've created this logo, and Andrea, thank you so much for being so artistic with all of our ideas. And we want to show how a hero is hidden within, and you can just explore that. The next thing is I want to show you just a short moment of our video that talks about inspire, educate, and empower. And that tells you a whole lot about what our program does. And I'm hoping this media does help me pull it up.
Once upon a time, the three of us sat at this table and we were having tea or something, I don't know what. And Wilma was telling us that she had been to Ireland.
I went to Irish Baha'i summer school. They wanted me to participate. They said, would you please take the afternoon with all the girls, young girls, teenage girls. And I said, fine, I'll do that. All I said was, I introduced things, subjects. How is your school life going? And they really talked about their lives. I kept getting one theme that bothered me. And that was, I'm not really happy. And that got my attention, of course.
One of the factors that has really contributed to the success of our organization and our programs is the unwavering allegiance and commitment of our group of individuals to the mission statement of this organization. A few words in particular stand out: education, inspiration, and empowerment. Okay, this wasn't the Who's Your Hero video that I had intended to play, but it's on our website, so you can visit that. And I see that we're coming to a time that where, we should be talking about the program as well as next month's program, and then something that we have very exciting coming up in December. But before that, I want to see if there are any questions about the program. The program is designed with a curriculum and operates in schools around this area as an after-school program, although we have potential for having, let me just go back to here for a minute, potential for having it virtually available to a much larger audience through some of the connections and networkings that we are developing. And we're constantly looking for collaborators, for partners who would allow Women on the Move network programs, be it in women empowerment workshops format or in the after-school program for the girls, to really be creating more and more of a networking opportunity for these girls who not only graduate from a program of 10 to at times 14 or 15 weeks, but sometimes a summer program that's a little more condensed, to a networking for life, which means that they could be contacting with their mentors, they could be connecting with anyone in this networking of women if throughout their lives they have issues and they want to discuss things. We've had students who've been part of the program, then they've been mentors to the program, and then they've come back to help us. And we have one who is actually a part of the board of directors with the Women on the Move network. So we follow these individuals to become the heroes of their lives, and we like to reflect their stories. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions, if there's any comments by Barbara and Diane before I go to our next announcements.
Well, you want to talk about the notes?
Yes, there are some notes. I would rather you talk about them, Barbara, because
okay, all right.
You know more about the notes than I do.
In the packet of materials that you can download from the chat, we have had the idea that the people who are our adult friends, you women and men who are here today and others, it would be a wonderful thing. When you're a little girl, sometimes you just need somebody to say to you, you're wonderful. You're doing a good job. Keep trying, keep moving. You can do it. I believe in you. And so we have some decorated border paper that you can download, or you can use your own. But we're asking if you would each consider sending one or more notes of encouragement to the girls in our program. All you have to do is either download one of these papers or just make an email on any kind of paper and email it to our director of the program and say, this is a note for a girl in the 9 to 11 group, or this is a note for a girl in the 12 to 14 group, because obviously they have different needs. And say something wonderful. And she will distribute them to the girls as needed, using her judgment and her knowledge of the girls. You can do one note, or you can do 10 or 20, or you can do it now and do it again in December, do it again in January. We just think little girls need encouragement. Everybody needs encouragement. And we are asking that this is one of the things that you can do for our girls. We have, I'm not sure what the count is right now, but we have the potential for 105 girls in our program in our 4 schools. And some of them are from families that have many needs, and the girls have many needs. Not all of them, but many of them. And so to get a note from a stranger, don't put your name or your personal information, just sign it from a friend or from someone who believes in you, or, you know, whatever. And so there's a sample, and we have other samples of things. And here it is. This is just what I've been telling you. This is the email that you would send it to, WYH, that's Who's Your Hero, wyhprogram@gmail.com. And send one or several, and think of the girls. Think of yourself when you were a little girl. What would you like to hear from someone telling you that you're wonderful? And in the subject line for your email, say if it's for someone from 12 to 14 or someone from 9 to 11. We really request that you do that at least once or possibly more, and spread the word. Tell your friend, tell your sister, tell your office, take it to your office and say, hey, let's write a bunch of notes to these girls. Mm-hmm. And we would be most appreciative. Okay, Soheila, the news of the day.
Thank you. Yes. And I'm hoping while I do this and show you a little synopsis of what I had in mind, that maybe Andrea could pull up the website and show you the full version of this invitation. And this is for our December 11th Bollywood night. And this is at the banquet hall of the Bombay restaurant. If we can see some of the pictures from a few years ago in 2019, right before the pandemic, we had such a great time with many of our friends and supporters who purchased tables or purchased individual tickets. And we had, some of our girls coming out and sharing the night with us and sharing some stories with us. And we had the school principals, we honored them. And I just was able to capture this part and to show you that if it comes in your email, please don't reject it. Please look into your junk mail to make sure you see this. And it's time to buy the tickets now, because by November 15, the price goes up. And Andrea, do you want me to stop share and you can share maybe the website, which has some of the pictures from the Indian night? We all dressed up in Indian garb. And if you don't want to do that, it's not mandatory. But as you will see.
Can you tell me where is this?
This is in Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario area, but we will be happy to fly you down here, Shalajun. But
because I run a Bollywood night in my house.
Oh, wow.
Because I did my high school at New Era High School in India. So India is still very much part of my heritage.
This is one of our girls. We want to just take a snapshot of her because she's now grown into
and are they in the same area? Your schools are in the same area?
Yes, yeah, we're basically in this area, and we could see some. Let them just be thirsting for more by buying tickets and coming.
3 of those 4 young women were mentors in our program.
Yes, well, thank you, Andrea, for allowing us to share that with the friends here.
If you do not already receive the newsletters, please add your email on the chat so I can send you a proper invitation for the fundraiser.
Right, thank you. So we thought you could enjoy a little bit of this fun and inspiration at the end of tonight. I'm done with my part. I want to thank you, my co-culprits, Barbara and Diane and Andrea, and also my husband, who's got feminist tendencies. I want you to know he is very much of a feminist.
Is he an Azizi? Is he an Azizi?
Yes, he was with us, and
Azizis are Kashi.
No, this is they're the Tehran Azizis.
No, none of them are. These are ancestry, although are Kashi. I'm not all.
Well, yeah. So anyway, he's very supportive, and actually, yeah. I don't know if Angie wants this on the recording or not, but when we formed the Women on the Move network and we started finding the name Women on the Move, he sadly said, "Well, I think I'm going to have to make my own organization called Men on the Run." So as much as we're not about, anything else that
good idea, they could. It's a good idea, they could. Some years ago, we had a women's group. Men got very upset. They said, either you should let us in. We said, why don't you have one of your own? And it fizzled out, but the women's group's still going on.
And bless Farmars's heart, he's been running and helping us for the whole time.
For all these years.
Yes, he has.
He is one of our.
What do you do in your schools? What do you do in your schools?
It's an after-school program, and it has a curriculum about empowering them through learning about good relationships, learning about good physical health, learning about good emotional, psychological, and all that goes into giving them leadership understanding. We provide them opportunities to see how college life looks like, and how they can be in projects with science. There's a whole bunch of again, Barbara was forever our executive director of the programs, and then again Diane and myself, we're just tagging along, but now Krista Furutan is the director. But Barbara, please just add.
Fantastic, wonderful. We have one after school. We do a little bit of that, not a great deal, but we mostly do French, English, and math after school.
Our program focuses the girls on 3 primary qualities: respect, integrity, and nobility of spirit. And we try to inculcate that in all of the sessions. We have a variety. We started out with 14 topics in our curriculum, and so we've had to add some others as time goes by and needs are different. We actually can't do all of them because the school year isn't long enough, but we do the best we can. And we also involve them in service projects because that's very important. And we have a wonderful organization that gives us money to buy books. So the girls get books for their personal library, and it can be life-changing for these girls.
Are they mostly Indians, Indian ancestry?
No, most of them are Hispanic.
Bollywood, how did Bollywood get into this?
Oh, that was a choice on our part, and we found it to be a good place to have an event such as ours, and it was convenient for people. And we had those 4 young women who were part of our program who agreed to entertain for us. So it all worked out.
We've had Fiesta Nights, which has been with, with mariachi bands and all of that. So we've had different themes throughout the years for our fundraisings.
Yeah. So I think we've come to the end of our evening. I hope very much that you will take to heart some of the suggestions that we've made about applying to be a judge for the scholarship contest, or for writing notes to our Who's Your Hero girls, or looking up legislation that you want to support just with a phone call or an email to your representative, or anything that's on our what can I do list, or find something of your own and Google Feminist Activist Tool Kit and just look through it. There's a lot of wonderful information there that will educate, inform, and inspire you. We hope
I'm not the only one who doesn't live in your area. You all live in the same area.
Roughly, but that's fine. We've had other people join us from Arizona.
I'm going to talk about your group with my group. It's going to be exciting. Actually,
we have had a woman join us from Canada. But she lives on the other side. She lives on the western side. And
so where do you live? Where do you live?
We're in Rancho Cucamonga, Upland.
Primarily San Bernardino County.
Yeah.
Southern California.
Southern California.
But Shalajan, please look up our website. It tells the whole story of who we are.
I did. But the restaurant that you mentioned is a restaurant a friend of mine, Shirin, when I went to visit her, took me to.
Oh, really?
Having been to India. And I was wondering if there's a branch of it somewhere else. But I have a friend from school. We have known each other since we were 4. We went to Madrasa Ferdowsi together, and then to Waliullah Nas 200 years ago. And,
if you come down for our Bollywood, I promise you I'll house you in our little room that we have, and then you will not have to worry about housing.
I love you guys. You were fabulous.
Join us next time on December 9th. Our next workshop is December 9th. It'll be 2 days before our gala. And bring a friend.
But if you wait that long, the tickets will be $125. You got to buy it now.
Oh yeah, you buy your tickets early.
So nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going.
Thank you all. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Shalajan.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everybody.
I have one more question. Diane, my sister-in-law, who was from California, her family name was Gunter.
Oh my goodness.
Adopted by a German background family.
Yeah. My husband, yeah. His dad, yeah.
Her name was Santa Gunter. She passed away in New York State. She was married to my brother for many years. She became a PI on the beaches of India during the 60s, the hippie eras, the 60s and 70s.
Oh my goodness. It truly is a small world.
It is.
I wonder if you are related to her.
I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll run across.
German background who came to the war. Oh my God! Please take. You have mine. You have mine. You don't have any information about me. She passed away. Both her parents passed away, and she has some family in Germany, and. So I'm fascinated. I've been looking at your name.
My father-in-law was originally from Missouri, and then they settled in Northern California.
Yes. So the Gunters came to California and then adopted Senta. And of course, she was always also trying to find her birth mother, but she had wonderful parents and they both passed away. And she also passed away 6 years ago in April.
I'm going to have to take off. We have another event at 7, so I got to take care.
Bye, Shala. Bye, everybody.
See you on December 9th.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Bye, Diane. Bye, Edie.
Good night.
Good night.